private jetty kind of picture there of Mr. Awoniyi, former Deputy Governor of Kogi State. Good morning and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, clearly, of course, several people are not happy with that elections, as we also have seen in different states where this election's held. But the way and manner with which this happened in Kogi is what Mr. Malaya and some of his colleagues were speaking out in terms of what they saw. And INEC themselves also, they say, yes, they noticed some infraction and they had to put up statements concerning what they were going to do about all of that. So for you, how do you see it?
The elections of the 11th of November came and went. And I'll tell you, it's probably the best elections we've had since 2012 in Kogi State.
How's that?
The election was absolutely violence-free. The people turned out in their numbers. And INEC did a very, very good job. Let me speak specifically from where I come from. I come from Kogi West. I come from Mopambro local government. The process was very, very free and fair. Everything went the way it ought to have gone. The security men were there and they provided cover and things went very, very well. Now I've listened to the comments of the other gladiators and I commensurate with them, I feel for them. It's very, very painful to lose elections. And the normal tendency is to grab straws from wherever you can find it. I've seen that things have been said that figures are inflated and all that. That is not true, to the best of my knowledge. Figures were turned out in their numbers in Kogi Central and in Kogi East as well. People voted maybe due to primordial sentiments, and it manifested clearly in the margins. In the case of Kogi West, we had a situation whereby we fielded 3 candidates, and the votes were split 3 ways. And the APC is a behemoth, is a political juggernaut, it's a behemoth. I haven't just left the PDP to join the APC. I can tell you the level of preparation that goes into election in the APC is remarkable.
Why did they, if that was the case, why did they, as many people were asking, why did they have to seek the help, or why was an official of the commission caught with prepaid, pre-filled papers trying to help the cause of the party?
I read that news item just like you also read it, I guess. But politics is a very, very funny game. It's a very, very funny game. All manners of setup can happen. I'm not going to hold brief for the INEC. I'm happy that the INEC have said they would investigate it. And I believe that that investigation is ongoing.
Okay, because, I mean, if you look at where the areas was APC stronghold, and some of those areas that INEC spoke about, and then the candidates from the East, in fact, many from the West, also pointed accusing fingers at the party, saying, well, if they were that strong, look at that. That speaks for itself.
You see, like I said, when you lose an election, you are hurting, and you will do all you can to justify your situation. What I know is that APC is remarkably strong, particularly in the central, because the candidate that was presented is from Central. And mark you, Central was very, very smart, and they had only one candidate. In the West, we had 3. In the East, we had like 4 or 5. Governor Yahabelo was very, very strategic in making sure that a very strong and sole candidate emerged from the Central. And that was clearly manifested.
But did you also hear what they spoke about? How come 2 local government areas produced results that made the candidates almost like saying 2 local governments voted him in, given the nature of Kogi?
That is not true. 21 local governments voted him in. 21. 7 local governments from my place voted him in.
Yeah, but what were the figures? Because he said, look,
they were very, very remarkable.
He says those 2 local government areas where the figures were humongous. In fact, that was what catapulted him to his nearest
Mark you,
person.
The candidate, Ododo, is from Okene. and there was a unanimity amongst the people that they must deliver their son. So if they turn out in their numbers, you can't blame them.
Is that turning out in their numbers?
Sorry?
Because you described that as them turning out in their numbers.
Yes.
Because the SDP candidate was here and
yes.
he clearly said no, that the APC wrote the results. They trusted INEC to do the needful. That didn't happen, but he thumped his chest and said no, that result was fabricated.
Did that report come from his men on the field there? Did the SDP people write that in the incident report? It's so easy to just sit back and just say things, that you cannot substantiate. I do not think that was the case. There was massive mobilization by Central. People came from Kaduna, Abuja, Owo, Akure. Buses came in. People who were registered, they made sure they all came to vote. There are lessons to be learned here.
What kind of lessons?
You must mobilize your people to come and vote. So many of the people who register at home don't come to vote. You must fish them out and appeal to them to come and vote.
Well, I have been looking at, you have described some of the incidences that have been reported as the opponents clutching at straws. But even when you have INEC recognizing the incidences that have happened, and a number of them widespread, you don't think that that is serious enough for those kinds of things to be recognized, even by the winning party?
Absolutely. It is unacceptable for electoral fragments to be glossed over. But I believe that INEC was very clear that they would investigate and that within 24 hours they'll come up with their findings. I believe that had been done, and they went ahead to announce the results.
You don't think that it raises questions about the victory of the candidate of the APC?
No.
When you say that the APC is a behemoth, yes, and it prepares for elections, people will wonder what sort of preparations are being made if they include, writing results, and pre-filling result sheets, from INEC officials.
If I say the APC is a behemoth, I'm not saying that is what makes them that. It's because of the level of preparation that goes on, the campaigning, the strategies that have been deployed. The agents are coached very well to know how to conduct themselves at the polling units. So it is remarkable.
Okay, so as a party, there's been no formal statement, there's been nothing to the effect that, these are issues that, you would also like the commission to look into, despite the fact that you won. You don't think that will in some way at least show that you're concerned more about the process, not just about you winning?
Yes, we are still in a very celebratory mood. The results were declared on Sunday. Today is Wednesday. We have a meeting on Thursday. We'll review everything, and at the end of the day, I'm sure His Excellency, the Governor Bello, would say something about it.
But so far, so good. There's been nothing said in that regard.
I am not sure. I'm in Abuja, and things happen on a daily basis in Lokoja.
Okay. Are you also a little concerned about how your state is also being depicted in terms of fears around violence? We had a guest here yesterday, and he was saying that one of the things that they noticed was the fact that the fear around violence was taken care of, was in some ways handled, and that, driving into Kogi State, you could see that, the roads were well protected, security checkpoints were mounted in good time, and, the police officers were quite friendly. But do you think that, the very fact that Kogi State had that sort of reputation is something that should bother you?
Absolutely. It has always been of great concern to me. As you may know, before now, I was a member of the PDP, and we Those days, we really felt the brunt of that. However, when we met Mr. President, he was very, very clear that, look, this election must go and organize ourselves because he would not tolerate violence in a formal manner. When we returned to Kogi State, the Governor Yahya Bello, called all the party stalwarts and cautioned them that, look, whoever has a propensity towards violence should make sure it doesn't happen, because he would not tolerate that at all in this circle. He went on and said, anybody who is caught with arms and calls him, he is going to facilitate his being locked up. So, and that clearly manifested in the process on Saturday. The election was absolutely violence-free. At least the violence was not orchestrated by APC or the government. So,
is that what the police said?
No, we all saw it.
Okay.
We all saw it.
Because all of
in my polling unit, in my polling unit, during the presidential election, we had one female police lady who sat through the whole thing. This time around, we had up to 15. So it was well guarded, and
15 policemen.
Yes, it was rather very reassuring, and people came out in droves. Maybe that's also part of what accounted for the turnout we also had. People saw that, yes, they could feel safe, and they came out and voted.
How do we then account for vote buying, which has been reported by a number of ESOs as well?
Vote buying, that is a very, very serious problem for our electioneering and voting. Elections have now taken the mold of party primaries. You know, it is something that has to be addressed holistically. The electorate see how the parties conduct themselves during the primaries. Huge sums of monies are deployed to secure votes of the delegates. Millions at times. So the electorate too have now imbibed the notion that, hey, if you can spend $1 million to get this ticket, I want my own share too. But I can tell you that it is something that is so pervasive and so prevalent. It has probably taken a life of its own now. So the poor candidate has to find the money to do what he has to do to win. Vote buying is a terrible thing. We have all the laws, we have all the guidelines to make sure it doesn't happen, yet it keeps going on. But thank God it did not happen in my own polling unit.
Okay, it's interesting. So you acknowledge that this is something that almost all the parties are engaging in.
I do not come to a national space like this and lie. It happens. It's distasteful. We need to have a conversation around this and see how it can be resolved.
It happens or it happened?
It happens. Happens.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking if it happened in this election.
I don't know. It happens.
I thought you said you cannot come to national TV and lie.
That's why I said that it didn't happen in my own polling unit. But I know it happens.
That means for this election,
maybe it happened somewhere else. Maybe it was the SDP or the ADC or the PDP or the APC. We have to find out who and who.
But usually, it is those who are liquid that can do it.
My brother, anybody who is contesting an election and is not a liquid has no hope of winning.
So, I mean, if the ruling party, they're usually more liquid than many because...
Some members of the opposition have the capacity to mobilize funds as well, as was the case of Ajaka. He's a very, very rich man. He's very well-heeled. He's a nice guy, by the way. Senator Dilo Emilaye, my brother, he is a billionaire. So they are well-heeled.
In Kogi West, they felt it was their time. You were from Kogi West, but you didn't think so.
I felt it was our time, yes. I felt it was our time, and that was why I threw my hat in the ring in my previous party. And believe me sincerely, I felt I did my analysis properly. I looked at it very, very, very well. Is it worth trying in the light of the behemoth that the ruling party is? And I looked at it. If ABC happens, I may have a fighting chance of winning. And believe me, when I didn't get the ticket, I was still prepared to sort of see how can we manage ourselves. But the process that threw up the candidate of our party was so flawed. And I left. I joined the APC to find another option, another strategy of making sure that someday Kogi West will have a candidate. Mark you, by the time that time comes, I'll be too old. I will be in my 70s. But it behoves upon me to start the work today that will make sure that a candidate from the West emerges. The results of this election has shown very, very clearly that no one senatorial district can go it alone, not the people from the East or the Central or the West. So there has to be this alliance.
So did the West think they could go it alone?
The West did not do the homework that was necessary. Look, I believe that the way things are, because our election is an off-cycle election, the first after a president is being sworn in, it is beneficial for us to think straight and know that for us to achieve this goal, we have the best chance of getting it in the ruling party. In the ruling party. Therefore, with what has happened in the Central now, the people of the West supported Central massively. There is an IOU in place.
So is it justified for them to feel betrayed now?
Who?
The West.
How? Why? No.
Because they thought we supported Central, we supported East. Now is our time, and then they won't support us.
Look, no. There was a candidate from the Central on the ruling party. The people of the West thought it was that, look, let us support this candidate from the Central. So that,
but why, if that were the case, why did the elders, Kogi West Elders Forum, they chose one of the candidates from the West, saying, this is what we want?
Look, I don't want to talk about the Kogi West Elders Forum because the politics of our place is deeper than that. I can throw up 1,001 groups who would also say it's right for us to support.
So that's a fictitious group?
No. There are people I have a lot of respect for. Some of them are my elders. No, but politics goes beyond sentiment. You must be hard-nosed and calculating in the way you marshal your thoughts and your plans.
Did they make a mistake?
Who?
The West, the Elders Forum?
Did the West win?
That's clearly a mistake.
Misjudgment, I'll say.
So, what would you advise them to do moving forward?
They should join the APC, and I'm serious here. We need to have all our people in the West converge in the APC, the ruling party. Let us sit down and position ourselves properly. For
not SDP.
SDP is a vehicle that was quickly put together principally for this election.
But look at the amount of votes it garnered.
It is based on primordial sentiments. You see, and that's the result of this election has demystified a lot of things. The East, they have the numbers. They are 49.9% of the population of the state, but they have only 9 local governments. And the Constitution is in Section 179 is that you must have 2/3 spread. So you need 14 local governments to win. So it is abundantly clear now that you must form alliances, you must collaborate for you to win, no matter how populated you are.
So you don't think the SDP candidate will be a force to reckon with for the next elections?
Everybody is a force. Everybody is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, but someone was first, someone was second, and then third, fourth, fifth will not be the same force as the first and second.
I agree with you. I agree with you clearly. Muri Ajaka has stepped out. He's made himself somebody to be reckoned with, and I'm wishing well. You know, I actually commend him. He said he didn't intend to challenge these results in court. Why? Because he is basically an APC member. And he knows the behemoth that the APC is.
Well, I don't think that's why that's the reason that he gave.
That is the reason I want to infer from.
No,
from
that's not
reason.
the reason he gave. In fact, he said he's not going to waste his time in
Yeah.
court. That's what he said, and I think that you know, it says a lot of things, especially when you look at the fact that INEC is now beginning to defend disparities that have been noticed here and there, or allegations that there has been manipulations, etc. But I want to take you on the issue of you saying that everybody should join the APC. You know, you're just a member of the PDP up until this year.
Yeah.
You joined the APC this year. And the PDP was also the same behemoth. I mean, people did not think that there could be any other party apart from the PDP. And that's one of the reasons why the elections were fiercely, not the elections, not the primaries for the PDP in many states were fiercely contested, because people assumed that if you got the ticket, you're as good as, you know, being in office. So what are the guarantees, especially when you begin to look at internal wranglings? What are the guarantees? And these wranglings are already happening at the federal level. Some of it as a fallout of the APC. Some of it as a result of the fallout of the primaries that produced the current president. So for you, you know, what is the likelihood that, you know, the APC will continue to be the behemoth that you think it is? Because when you also look at it, because you say you're calculating, you're starting the work now, so that it could one day be the turn of Kogi West. And by that time, you'll be too old. Yeah. Some people will say, no, this is a calculation, knowing that very soon, this might be the turn of Kogi West, and you most likely will be the candidate chosen.
First and foremost, I was a member of the PDP for 25 unbroken years. Never stepped out one day, and I never did anti-party. Even in cases where the candidates that emerged from the primaries were not my choice, I still went ahead and I worked for my party. I don't want to go over the last primaries and the way it went and why I had to leave the party. You know, the PDP, and I don't really want to talk too much about the PDP because the PDP was my party. And I still have a lot of friends there. And so I wouldn't want to sort of put them down. But there's one thing I'll say. The PDP of 1999 is not the PDP we have today. The PDP as envisioned by the founding fathers is not what we have now.
One of which is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Sorry?
The former vice president, one of the founders, one of the key members.
Yeah.
Because you said everybody should move to APC.
Yeah.
But here, today, he's quoted as saying, no, Nigeria must not be allowed to slide into one-party dictatorship.
You see, I said that within the context of Kogi West and our desire to strive to fill the candidates for the governorship. That was the context. I wouldn't want to see a situation whereby we'll have a one-party state. No. But I'm saying that for Kogi West, for us to have a fighting chance someday soon, we should all mobilize ourselves in the APC. That is what any party member would do. You clamor to have everybody join you. And incidentally, cross my heart, I'm already receiving phone calls from people from even the East saying they would like to join and they want to use me as the vehicle of joining the APC. So they can see the light.
Who then checks? Who then checks the party in power in Kogi?
The people. The people.
That you're asking to join?
No, I mean, well, she said who checks. It's not every citizen that's a party member.
The people whose votes can be bought.
If they join, the voice is gone.
No, wait. Let's get this straight. It's not every citizen of the state that is a member of the political party. Kogi State has a population of about 4.5 million people. The total number of party faithfuls across board, I don't think is up to 1 million. So we still have that bulk that can stay there and put the government in check.
So the people who are not well heeled, they're elite. All of them will be in one particular political party, but the people who have been left vulnerable are now the ones that will be checking their leaders. Is that what you're saying?
I don't understand what you're trying to make out of this. Look, I'm a member of the APC. If it was possible, I want every single citizen of the state to join the APC. It makes our work much easier. So if all the elites are members of the APC, so be it. It's good for us as a party. That then it now enriches the content of the membership, the quality of our politicians, and our ability to deliver for the people.
Well, you say it's good for the party, but clearly the opposition thinks it will not be good for the country.
Well,
if that were the case.
Yes.
Democracies that have advanced, is this the model that they adopt? They say they'll tell you clearly not. Let's bring in our colleague in Lagos. He's got questions for you as well. Ayo.
Thank you, Chamberlain. So let me ask a quick follow-up on that one. Are you saying that a one-party state is good for Kogi State?
I never said that. I did not say so. I'm only making an appeal that everybody should join my party. How far that my appeal goes is yet to be tested.
Okay. Well, there's something you said earlier that underscored a question that I wanted to ask you. When you said a lot of the campaigning and a lot of the voting in Kogi State was along primordial, were based on primordial sentiments. And some analysts also speaking about the elections in Kogi State also point in that direction, that people voted more along ethnic divides in the state. How functional, how useful do you think that is, given the challenges that the government of the day will have to contend with, way beyond the primordial sentiments?
You know, it's most unfortunate that where ideas end, sentiments take over. And unfortunately for us in Nigeria, including Kogi State, we really haven't moved away from these primordial sentiments. You know, sometimes it's ethnicity, sometimes it's religion. We need to sort of step up the game as a political class, find a way to make sure that people look at the candidates for their merits and vote accordingly. It's a journey of 1,000 miles. We are just taking the first step now. Someday soon we will get there. Mark you, it's been known in the past not to be like that, where you have a stellar and distinguished candidate. Like the case of 1993 when MKO was elected. He was celebrated across the whole spectrum. Maybe someday we will get back there.
But how will we get there, Mr. Awoniyi? Because even in the days of MKO that you mentioned, a sizable number of people that voted were largely uneducated. And that's been our story as a nation since the First Republic, even now. In this previous government, for instance, released data that says 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor, including in Kogi State. So if the people who are going to vote are politically illiterate, politically uneducated, and they just know that that's our kinsman, we're just going to vote for him. Even in the opposition parties, they went to certain places and said, we're not going to get any votes from this place because the sentiments here are for the other candidates. So how are we going to get there if those sentiments remain as prominent, given the level of illiteracy, level of political uneducation that we have in the entire space?
You know, I agree with you partly, but, you know, simply because a man is not lettered, the man is not schooled, the man hasn't gone through the four walls of a school, doesn't mean that he is not politically astute. In some communities, the strongest politicians there, those who mold opinion, are illiterates, if I can use that term. But they're very, very grounded in the yearnings of their people. They understand the developments they need, the roads, the boreholes, the water, the light, the schools. So that knowledge is being used to sort of mobilize people along certain lines. So yes, I quite agree that education is absolutely fundamental. So fundamental that I would have wished that the educational requirements for certain positions in Nigeria are upped a little bit so that we get better candidates. That has been our bane, really. And then we should encourage proper interaction between the candidates and the electorate. We don't have that enough. I know media stations like yours, you've tried to organize debates. Some candidates will come, some wouldn't come. And all these rallies are just jamborees. They just come, make noise, and just go. There's no proper interaction. So not until we are able to expose the candidates and really interrogate the programs they have, you know, we would still be going around in circles.
I go with your, I think a number of people will agree with your recommendation that academic qualifications of those who want to get into certain levels of government would be elevated a little higher. For the president and for the governor, what would be your minimum recommendation?
I think it stands to logic. I think where Nigeria is today and where the world is going, we probably need to, and if you look at the vast nature of the education space, we have, the minimum should be a university degree.
Okay.
A university degree and some bit of IT savvy.
Okay.
The world has gone so far now that we can't just have somebody who is just groping about certain. Or you wanted to say something?
No, I mean, I think that question is answered. I just want to take a quick, pick your brain quickly on something that we discussed earlier. The NLC has called out a strike, a nationwide strike, because of an attack on the president of the NLC. NLC and TUC called out the attack. What is your take on that, given, you know, the circumstances around it?
You know, for me, the matter of labor has been a major recurring factor in this nation, even in Kogi State. You know, the good works of Governor Yahya Bello have been buried under the issue of salaries. So what is happening in Imo is not unique to that state alone. I know many states are struggling to pay salaries, particularly for their local government staff. In my state, for example, at the state level, the staff get paid. But at the local government level, where you have a staff strength in excess of 1,000 people, where if it was a business, you wouldn't employ more than 100. There's a monumental mismatch there. So this problem with labor will be ever reoccurring. But to answer your question specifically, I think it's very sad and unfair the way the NLC chairman was attacked. And I'm so happy that His Excellency, the Governor of Imo, has apologized. And I think the issue of going on strike would just, you know, bring additional hardship to the people. So I would appeal to labor. Let there be dialogue. Let us find a way of accommodating this sad event and save Nigeria from unnecessary strike and hardship.
In order for that not to happen again, probably, do you support those who were involved in it? They should be brought to book?
I mean, yes, of course. Any infraction in this country should be punished.
All right. I understand Mr. Jaka has now said that he's going to go to court to challenge that. So it's not, the governor-elect may not breathe easy yet until all of that is sorted. So that's what's going to happen. We'll have to thank you for coming on. Yomi Awoniyi, former Deputy Governor of Kogi State. Let's take a look at some messages coming through just before we go. This is from Niyi Afolabi, who's talking about labor activities. He says, Labor may need to be democratic in its activities. How can they be protesting an assault against their president, but they are harassing Nigerians to obey their call for a strike?
Well, this is from Henry Onono, and he says, isn't Ajero worth protesting and striking for? Why is the nation mum about the wrong things going on in Imo State? Is there no way to investigate and determine the truth about the state of Imo workers? The only way is for citizens to wake up and engage the government of the day directly in the most legal manner.
Along the same line, Femi Anibaba says, if the NLC calls for a strike and workers decided to go to work, NLC should know that the workers are not in support of the strike. If they have to go around to chase people away from their places of work and prevent people from going about their legitimate businesses, that's terrorism, not activism.
Yeah, I think there are two more, actually.
Oh.
This is Dr. Yinka Olaniyan, and he says if it is believed that the NLC president was assaulted by people known by name to NLC as alleged, the proper and civil response should be to recourse to legal processes against such people. Calling out a national strike for that reason is a blatant abuse of workers' might.
And this one is from Victor. He says, how are salaries paid in the state? Are there no records of salaries paid? Why is the governor not showing Nigerians that he has paid? Where is labor's evidence they stand on to? There are too many interests. But there's this on mail, Kenneth Chuku, it says he's from Imo. He believes that the governor is still owing. So jury's out there. I guess the matter will keep going on as Labour has several questions of the government. But that is the show today. We do thank you all for watching, and as always, we'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Thank you for watching, and thank you for sending in your feedback. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful and fruitful day.